What's up, algoriters? Let's see who's in here. Venetia Phillips, welcome back to Celebrity Court. SL, welcome back to Celebrity Court. Teray MCS, what's going on? Shauna Mosley, welcome back to Celebrity Court. Jeannie Gonchar, welcome back. Kitty Boo 2121, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Everybody, Colette Davis, good to see you in here today. SL King Keith, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Tuesday night's edition of Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. You know what it is, where the headlines meet the hot seat and your opinion holds all the weight. Baby, we got a show for you tonight. We're taking you into the eye of a firestorm, the Sean Diddy Combs federal sex trafficking trial, a storm that has rocked hip-hop, it has rocked Hollywood, and it has rocked the cultural fabric of power, sex, and silence. This is the episode they warned you about. Tonight, we bring you an exclusive, a never-before-seen interview with the man at the center of Jane Doe's jaw-dropping testimony. The man referred to only as Michael, which tonight we're finding out his real name is Rico Bozon. Now, you may know him as a fitness trainer, a model, a filmmaker, or a lifestyle curator. But tonight, he's stepping into this court to reveal what happened behind closed doors. No more pseudonyms, no more whispers. Tonight, the silence breaks. You'll hear how Rico found out he was Michael, described in the sworn federal testimony. You'll hear what really happened at that hotel room with all that baby oil and lube. You'll hear how the adult and entertainment work booking came about and who set it all in motion. You also will hear from Rico whether he believes Diddy was orchestrating a ring or simply indulging in his fantasies. And we're not just speculating. We've got three of our legal minds here to break it all down with us. And we're going to find out what's criminal, what's civil, what's cultural, and what's just plain dangerous. So buckle up. And don't forget, this particular court, viewer discretion is advised. Some of the questions will take you there. Please don't forget to hit that like button. Also, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit the share button. Don't forget to turn on your notifications for more specials like this. And as always, continue to jump down in those comments. And coming up next, let's meet our legal beagles that are joining us tonight for this exclusive. First up, we have the fiery civil attorney, Shatan Turner. Shatan Turner, welcome back to Celebrity Court.
Hey, Your Honor, I'm glad to be back. I might have to keep my glasses on for some more of those photos, though.
How did we know? She was actually early today. She was actually early today, everybody, and I wonder why. Also joining her is our author of Shit They Never Taught You in Law School, attorney Jason Weiss. Welcome back to Celebrity Court.
Thank you, Your Honor. So excited to be here, and I can't wait to hear all this juice, and it's going to get oily. It's going to get slippery.
Last but not least, humorist at law Sean Carter with your slips. Come on in here into Celebrity Court.
I'm here under protest, Your Honor. All right.
And
why my wife watches this show, and now y'all gonna mess up my whole date night. She can't. What's she gonna do after seeing all those pictures? What's she gonna do when she gets home with me? Shame on you.
She's gonna take off her slip.
She's gonna take off her slip for you, buddy.
Be ready.
All right, Legal Beagles, we're going to take you off and we're going to have you back in segment 5. All right, algoriters, get ready to jump in the chat because we also want to answer your questions because I'm sure you may have one or two that's in the front of your mind. Let's get into it. Court is now in session. All right. Rico Bozon is a creator, connector, and a culture builder. He's a lifestyle creator building communities through authentic connections. From fitness trainer and model to filmmaker and visionary entrepreneur, Rico brings a premium aesthetic to storytelling, culture, and now this exclusive courtroom revelation. Tonight, Rico joins us live to reveal that he is, in fact, the man Jane Doe identified as Michael in her testimony regarding Sean Diddy Combs' alleged freak-off sex parties. Rico Bozon, come on into the court, and thank you for joining us.
What's up?
So, full transparency, Rico and I have known each other for quite some time. I've actually trained with him when he was located in New York City. Via New Orleans?
Yep.
From New Orleans
Yeah,
and Vegas. All right, Rico. So I just want you to sit back and relax and just, have a conversation with me. We're going to talk about a couple of things. You and I have already talked about the majority of this. Also, just in full transparency for anyone, Rico also testified in the grand jury. So he's above board. Everything that he's sharing has already been discussed. All right. So let's start from the beginning. Now, this is what I really want to know. And starting from the beginning of when you realized that Jane Doe, when she was testifying last week, was actually talking about you. When did you realize that you were the Michael that she referenced in her testimony?
Because I have a friend that was actually in court, and he contacted me after, because I told him the story probably in 2023, like recently after we had met up, and I sat and talked with Sean Combs for like 35 minutes before she came out and I met her. And I told him I was dancing for her because I'm a dancer, and I was dancing for her, and he was trying to record me dancing for her, and I told him, don't record me. So he put
No. I want to go back. Back. When did you find out that Jane Doe, when she was testifying last week, when did you know that she was talking about you?
Because he told me that she said that my name was Michael, the date of the interaction.
Oh, the date of it. So the description, did she mention, did your friend mention that Jane Doe had the conversation? Because Jane Doe mentioned in her testimony that Diddy had a conversation with this Michael dude on the balcony, and that you guys had a long conversation before she revealed herself. Is this correct?
Yes.
Okay. So a friend of yours was in the court when he heard this testimony. He called you and said, hey, you must be Michael.
Yes.
Okay, got it. All right. So let's talk about it. She mentioned the conversation that this guy Michael was on the balcony. Is that a familiar moment that you had with Diddy on a balcony?
Yep. We talked for like 30 minutes before she came out.
Okay. And what did you guys talk about?
We talked about music, and he was asking about my career and my reason for being in film school, and like watched a couple fights, and then discussed that he wants to he likes porn, and he's at a point in his career where he wants to create his own porn and create his own scene. And then he started kind of like
okay, so that's what you talked about on the balcony.
Yeah.
All right, let's dial this back a little bit more, because maybe we're jumping ahead of yourself, because I'm nosy. I'm going to ask you all the questions. All right, you get a call. Who do you get a call from, and what you get a call from someone? They want they want you to come dance at a hotel. Do they tell you who it's for?
No, they don't tell me who it's for. They tell me it's a celebrity client, and I have to sign the NDA though.
Okay, got it. All right, so when you show up at the particular hotel, this happened in California, Vegas, New York, Los Angeles. All right. So when you showed up at the hotel, and what do? You can't get up those elevators, those fancy, swanky hotels. You can't get up the elevator without a card. Do you go to the front desk? Do you give them your real name and say, hey, I'm here to go visit a client? Like, how does that work?
You give them your name and tell them whatever name they tell you to call up. So you go to the front desk and be like, I'm going to 901, and this is the name, and they call the phone and tell them they have the guest down there, and then they send you up.
Okay, got it. All right. So we're on the elevator, riding up to this celebrity booking. You don't know who the celebrity is, though, correct?
I have an idea.
Okay, you have an idea, but you're not sure. You don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get to the room, and you knock on the door. Who comes to the door?
P. Diddy.
Oh, okay. So he lets you in.
Yeah.
Okay. So in some of the court testimony, some of the workers say that, he wore a mask and he wore Muslim garb, to cover his face. Did he cover his face or have any of that garb on when he answered the door to let you in?
Nope.
Okay, got it. Well, all right, this is interesting. So talk to me about you're in the room now. What is the energy in that room? What do you
Um,
see?
it was pretty chill. It was like it was dark and they had like red lights all around and like music playing and they had like a bottle of like tequila on the table and it was like it was big. It was like kind of like a penthouse suite, you know.
Mhm. So you said they. So there was more than him just opening the door. Two people met you at the door. What?
No,
I'm
when he
confused.
opened the door and I walked in, it was just him.
Okay. So when you're going in and you're checking the vibe, it's just him. King Keith wants to know why did he have an idea it was Diddy?
Because I'm in a mail review show in Los Angeles, and for the agency that I work with, one of the guys works for that same agency that's in the show that I'm in. So I was at work and I was like, I got a booking for a 4 hour. And I said, they said it was the first time I got an NDA to sign through this agency. And I showed him and he was like, he told me, he said, it's going to be Diddy. And I was like, no way, no way.
Ah, okay. So you're in the room now and it's just Diddy in the living room with you.
Yeah.
Okay. And at what point do you guys go outside? I mean, why do you go outside? Like,
Cause like the back door was already open and it was daytime. And he was like, you want to drink? And I was like, no, I'm good. And he was like, you smoke? And I was like, yeah. So we just went, sat down and he started like telling me about himself and asking me about like how long I've been with the agency, how long I've been in LA, like what I do, you know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
Just chopping it up about career. And he was telling me about because I'm in film school, about some connections he have that could help. And then he went into it like, the reason I have you here, I have this girl and I like to create my own porns and my own scenes. And he was like hyping her up, like, she's so sexy, you're going to love her. So I'm like, all right, cool.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. If you've heard the rumbles about Diddy before, were you ever
I really
concerned?
didn't know much until after.
Okay, so you didn't really have any idea of what he was into, what the rumors on the streets are, any of that.
Nope.
Okay, well, let's talk about the booking then really quickly. So the booking happened through the agency, because I'm hearing you say agency. So there's an agency that you work for that hired you to go dance in this celebrity hotel room.
Yes.
All right. So when you got to the hotel, who are you texting to let them know that you're downstairs? You texting the agency, or are you texting
From what it seemed like,
Doe, or are you texting Diddy?
I don't know if it was Diddy or Daphne, but it was like one of them.
Jane Doe, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not sure if it was Diddy or Jane Doe?
Yes.
Okay. But you're not texting the agency.
No, after I got there, I wasn't texting the agency anymore. And usually you only communicate with the agency, but in this situation, they give you the number directly. So I was communicating with him or her.
Okay. All right. So when you were on, having a conversation about he's at a point in his life and his career where he wants to enact live porn. Did that mean that you were going to be filmed or observed while it was going on, while you were dancing?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were hired to dance, and then he mentions porn. How does that happen?
In those type of situations, it's always like that. Like it's a sexual dance because it's more like a male review type of thing. So I kind of like insinuating that, and then he called her and she came out in lingerie.
Oh, so you knew then. Oh, okay, got it. All right. This is getting interesting. So shortly after you guys talked, you're on the balcony. Does she come out on the balcony?
Yeah.
Okay, she comes out on the balcony and she joins you. And what do all three of you talk about?
She like walks out slow, like she's doing like a dance performance, like a music video. You know what I'm saying? While the music's playing, and then she come hug me and she sits down and like start just talking about asking my name, where I'm from, what I do, and telling me.
Was she beautiful?
Yeah, she was bad for sure.
Jane Doe is beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what happens?
So he's like, so this is what I want y'all to do. He was like, I want her. He told her to go stand by the balcony. He was like, all right, we're gonna act this out. You're at the bar by yourself. Single Rico walks into the bar, and y'all start hitting it off. And he was like, action. I'm like, and she just starts playing it, like playing the role. Like, hey, what's your name? So I
Got it.
do it too, you know. And he's like, kind of stopping her and telling her what to say, and she's like, listen
So
to
wait a
him.
minute. Is he just directing this or is he filming this?
He was just directing at this point. He wasn't trying to film anything.
Okay. Because I remember distinctly in her testimony, she said that Michael was the only male review guy that would not allow any type of filming. Is that you?
Yeah, he didn't try to do it until we went inside and I was dancing for it.
Okay. He tried to film you then.
Yeah, he pulled the phone out and I was like, no, don't record me. And he was like, all
Okay.
right, cool. He put the phone down, but there was also a laptop next to him that the music was playing off. So I walked up and I closed the laptop as well. And then I went back to dancing for him.
Okay. And well, I'm gonna leave that question for later. Let's see if we get some questions in the chat here. Any questions in the chat? Anybody got any questions that you want to ask that I can ask from the chat? Jump in the chat. Okay, Colette Davis said, how did the other guy know it was going to be Diddy?
Because he was booked through the agency with them multiple times.
Okay, got it. Okay. Justly says, I hear that Louisiana in his accent. Billy Little said, allegedly Diddy didn't like condoms. Did you use them? Or if no, why not? I think that's personal. We won't answer that. Let me see if we have any other questions here. Did Jane Doe seem like she was comfortable with this?
Yeah, she seemed very comfortable to me.
Okay. Why did you not allow any filming?
Just cause I didn't feel like it was necessary to have me dancing for her, you know.
Okay.
Or whatever we was about to do, you know.
All right. So tell us, the court testimonies, really have taken hold to this whole baby oil situation in this lube. Was baby oil used in your encounters?
Yeah. When I was dancing for her, he was telling her to pour baby oil on me as I was dancing for her. And telling her to pour it on herself as well.
Okay. And did that happen all night long?
Probably I would say for like the first 30 minutes, she was doing the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay. So what is the lube used for?
We only use baby oil, but I seen that there was lube in the bathroom.
Okay, got it. Okay, so you did go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right. What songs did he dance to?
Did I dance
That's
to?
a question for you, Rico. What songs did you dance to when you were dancing for her?
It was just like a mix of like R&B, like Grind on Me, Pretty Ricky, You, Jacquees, just like a mix, like an R&B mix of different songs.
Okay, so you were hired to dance. Venetia Novelle Beauty said, were you intimate with both or just a sexy lady?
Just a lady.
Okay, Venetia Phillips says, so did they have sex with her that day? Oh, yep, she said, yes, he had sex with her. This particular time, Rico, Colette Davis wants to know, has Rico ever engaged in this before the Diddy incident?
Yes.
So you've met them before?
Oh, no, not met them before, no.
But you've done dancing calls with other celebrities. Yes, we know that. Yes. He has worked for other celebrities before. Grind on Me is crazy. Okay, Rico, let's keep it going here. So you're dancing. Okay. So when do you know that this booking goes from a dancing booking to there was going to be something more?
As I'm dancing, she pulls my pants and my boxers down.
Okay, and
She proceeds to pull him off, and I let her,
okay, what is Diddy doing while all of this dancing and derobing and getting naked?
He's sitting in the kitchen and kind of like instructing her as like she'd be doing it. He'd be like stop, like tell her to stop, like touching me as I'm dancing for her. And then he'd like be like tell her like pour all on, like pretty much just directing her and instructing her, you know what I'm saying? And she's like just doing what he tells her to do and kind of saying what
So it's almost like you guys are on a movie set.
Yeah.
Okay. So does he tell her to take your pants off?
No.
Okay. Got it. So a lot of the other dancers have stated that they were given something like a pill or something. Were you given a pill?
He tried to give me one. He asked me if I wanted it, and I was like, I'm good on that.
Okay. What was he trying to give you?
He said it was like a rhino pill, like it's like a
What's a rhino pill?
Like a type of Viagra you can get at like a gas station or convenience store.
Ah, okay. And you told him you didn't need that.
Yeah.
So you did not take it?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Okay. So King Keith says, so when it goes from dancing to more, do you stop and renegotiate your rate? How does that work? No, I think King Keith, it goes by the hour. Am I wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a time thing.
Okay, it's a time thing. Okay. All right. So when does it settle in your head that you're in P. Diddy's room and you are doing more than dancing for the night?
Because after that we stopped and she started drinking and we sat down and was talking, like just drinking and smoking.
Naked?
And, I am, and she is.
Okay.
And then was smoking, and after I told him I didn't want the pill, she was like, do you want to try a honey pack? And I was like, I didn't know what a honey pack was. And she shows me, and it's this brand called Hidden Vault, and it's like a little gold pack of honey. And I'm like, well, this can't be nothing too bad. I'll do it. So I did the honey pack.
Okay. So you did a honey pack.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And the honey pack is this
it's like a Cialis type, like extend sexual pleasure type thing, And at that moment I was like, oh yeah, she want to go all the way.
Okay. Oh, okay. So that's when you knew that things were about to get
real.
And you were like, it's cool because she's sexy.
Yeah, she bad. You know what I'm saying? I wanted it. She wanted it.
Okay. Any questions? I'm kind of running out of questions on this particular one. Was the sex good? I guess
it was fire for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so Melina NC said, how long did it last?
Like an hour and a half.
Dang, I'm about to get the honey pack. What's going on? Order in my court right now. An hour and a half. Is that what the honey pack does?
The honey pack is the truth, for sure.
Okay, so let's see. He said, did Deliria Washington wants to know if you use protection. That's his business. I don't think we're going to ask that.
I did.
Okay, King Kiff says, does he feel like he was a victim of sex trafficking?
No, not at all.
Okay. Were you nervous at any point? Because, we talked about, the Punisher talked about that he had, sometimes he wasn't able to perform. Did you have any of those issues?
No.
Okay. Did the honey pack work?
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it going. Now, so you were there for about an hour and a half.
Yep.
Okay. Now, it's my understanding that, and we don't have to share how many times, but that was your first time with those two, Jane Doe and P. Diddy, that booking.
Yes.
Okay, can we talk about the second encounter?
Yeah.
All right, the second encounter. Who set that up?
I can't really. The agency initially was like sent me. It was like they liked you. She wants to see you again. So it was through the agency, and then they connected me with him as I was en route to the hotel.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the agency once again. So you knew though, but you knew that you were being booked for those two though.
Yeah.
All right, and were you excited?
It's just business as usual, honestly.
Were you expecting to dance again, or were you expecting to do more than dancing again? You can be honest.
Both, because like within that hour and a half, like she had me dance for 2 more times. Like in the suite in the room, there was like a oval thing with a mirror, and she was like, "I want you to dance to these 3 songs." So we would go for a while, and then she'd be like, "I want you to dance to these 3 songs," and like she'd set up like a little area where like you could see me in every mirror, and I danced for again. Then went around, and she was like, "I want you to dance to this song." So it was kind of.
Got it. So let me ask you this: were there a whole bunch of towels? Because we hear in all the testimony that there's white towels everywhere, that the assistants laid down. What else was around?
It was towels laid all on the sofa and on the floor by the sofa where I was originally dancing for. And then after, I went in the bathroom to take a shower, and this would kind of throw me off. When I walked in the bathroom, the bathtub was like full of like hot water, about that much, and it was like 15 bottles of baby oil, like 6 bottles of Astroglide just floating in the water.
Oh wow! Okay. AT2 said, did he notice anything suspicious? Like, did she seem like she was being forced?
No, she seemed like she was comfortable and with it. I didn't feel no vibe of her feeling like she was forced or.
Okay, I have the same question as Colette Davis. How did you feel doing all of this in front of somebody else, in front of Diddy?
Didn't really affect me.
Okay, Melina NC said, was Diddy treating her mean in front of you?
Nope. He was being nice, like cracking jokes with her. Like I didn't see no like ill intent in the situation.
Okay. A joyous girl says, okay. What does he think that was about? Wait, what does he think that was about it? What? I don't know what does he think that was about it? I don't know what that is. How many times are you booked a night usually?
It's very spread out actually. It's not very like on a nightly thing. It's more on like a weekly or monthly basis. It's never no like consistent.
Okay. So now looking back, what did you originally think when you saw that baby oil and Astroglide in the tub floating around?
I was like, damn, well, she used at least a bottle and a half on me. So where all these other bottles gonna go? Like how often is it going on?
Okay. All right. So what was different about the second time than the first time? Were there more people involved?
Nope. It was just him and Jane Doe.
Okay. So Diddy was present again.
Yeah.
Were there drugs?
Weed. Was smoking weed.
Okay. And you said that he gave specific instructions on what he wanted to do. So was it consensual?
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you do different the second time that you didn't do the first time?
Pretty much the same process, just didn't dance as much as I did the first time. And like kind of hung out and just talked to her more longer than I did the first time.
Okay, you seem so like relaxed. Like, I guess it's no big deal. You're used to celebrity bookings. What do you think about all of this sex trafficking allegations, racketeering, and all of that?
I don't feel like it's sex trafficking. I feel like it's two grown adults exploring sexual fantasies or whatever that is that they want to do. I feel like it's just because who he is. It's like it's put on the front line because a lot of people do it. It's just not something that's in the public eye, you know.
Okay, AT2 said, was Diddy more interested in him or Jane Doe?
In her, because he was just instructing her the whole time.
Okay. Legends of Sleepy Hollow said, did Diddy get naked? Was he pacing up and down?
He did get naked, but he had his shirt off and he was pacing, like smoking and pacing.
Okay, gotcha. Anything unusual about the second encounter?
She was just asking a lot of like at the second encounter, like a lot of personal questions. Like she would like at first it was like a business thing, and then like she wanted to know more and like get more personal about my life, which was wondering why, you know.
So Colette Davis says her birthday is coming up on June 15th. Can you dance for her?
She can book me and I'll come travel and dance for her girls.
Or she can book you on OnlyFans, right? Which is at
Yep.
Showtime Vegas.
Yep.
Okay. So let's talk about, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper. I hope you don't mind. I'm sure I've asked you this before. Rico, experts in forensic psychology has long suggested that sexual predators aren't driven by lust alone, that it's power, it's shame and control. Did you feel any of that energy in that room, or in the room ever when you guys were together?
Yeah, I feel like a slight control thing, because when he would tell her something, she would do it, and I'd just be like, just stay here, like focus, you know what I'm saying? And like when he says something, she like be alert, you know, and like poor baby also, she'll just stop doing what she's doing and grab the baby all.
So do you feel like Cassie called it freak offs, Jane Doe called it hotel nights? Did you get a sense that it was less about sex and more about control then?
No, I feel it was more about sex, but there was a sense of control in it.
So Cassie highlighted that he was in the bookings, and the men that she had to book, they had to have extremely large penises, and he preferred that she wore white fingernail polish. Do you think that he was fixated on that?
He could have been, but she had white fingernail polish on for that encounter.
Jane Doe did?
Yeah.
Do you think that he was ever fixated on comparing himself to others physically or sexually, or maybe just in dominance and control?
I can tell there was like because he was asking me like how to get in shape and how to like supplements he should take, and he want to get his body right. So I guess there was like a sense of comparison, because he was like,
oh, there's definitely a comparison there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Multiple women described his behavior as degrading, even humiliating. Were there ever moments where he seemed to be enjoying emasculating Jane Doe?
There was one point where she was giving me oral sex. I told her, I said, "You nice with it," and he said, "Oh, she's one of the ones on my A team." And then she stopped and she was like, "Oh hell no, I am the team." And I was like, I just thought that was funny because she's one of the A team members. That's why.
No, I didn't find that degrading. I thought that was celebratory.
Yeah, me too. I was like, okay, A team is good. If it goes from B to Z and you on the A team, you know what I'm saying?
You're good. Did he ever reference how good he is in bed?
Nope.
Okay. As someone who's been around a lot of high-profile clients, would you say there's a common link for the celebrity clients as it relates to power, fame, and sexual insecurity?
Yeah, definitely.
Why do you say that?
Because it's the same type of energy and reactions in those type of situations that they have with the
towards you,
towards the girl.
Towards the girl.
The control, yeah.
Okay, so in your experience, do men who are insecure about their bodies overcompensate in ways that become toxic, controlling, or even dangerous?
In some situations, yeah.
Okay.
Depends on the individual, you know.
What do you think about all of the this is like a international story. What do you think about being in the center of that? Did you ever see yourself being in this position?
No, and I don't feel like I'm in the center. I feel like this is like a small small thing in the bigger picture, you know. But I never thought it would go this far at the time when in the situation, you know.
Mm-hmm. Rico, you mentioned earlier that you had to sign an NDA, right?
Yeah.
Who was it from?
It was a makeup company or something. Like it wasn't a legitimate NDA. I found out after facing doing the
You mean
grand
it
jury.
was it from P. Diddy's camp, or was it just like a generic NDA?
It was like it was coming from his camp. Like they sent it to me as if it was coming from his camp for me to sign, but it was generic.
It was generic. Now,
It was a scare tactic.
was it text to you or was it emailed?
It was text and email.
And so, did it come from Bad Boy?
Nope.
Did any of the email exchange have Bad Boy on it?
Nope.
Okay. So this second encounter, was it in a hotel in California, in Los Angeles?
Yes.
Okay. And how long did this second time last?
I was at the second one. It was like 3.5 hours.
Okay. And so basically you just reenacted, danced, and had sex again?
Yeah, we hung out and just talked and like chilled, smoked for like an hour and a half, and then I danced and did the rest after that.
Okay. Christine R says, do you and the Punisher know each other?
Yes.
Okay. You guys have done male reviews before, right?
Yeah, I manage a male review called Hunkermania in New Orleans, Las Vegas, and Los Angeles, and he manages the New York division.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's get to some more questions here. Party. Okay, King Keith says, how long has Rico been in the adult entertainment business?
About 8 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's see. Who else? Tell said, did you just ask that man about his penis? I didn't ask nobody about his penis. What are you talking about, Tell? Telly? Trinity. Okay, I don't know what that person's asking. Sammy Musa said, how was Rico vetted? You guys are late to the show. He told us how he's vetted. He was vetted through an agency. SL says, what are your goals?
As far as
SL, he wants to know as far as. Okay, let's keep going. SL says, what are your long-term goals? What, as it relates to what, his career as a trainer, as a filmmaker? He's in film school. What do you get more detailed? SL. Okay. Angela Maria says Hulkamania.
Hollywood Men in Los Angeles and Hunkermania in New Orleans.
I know. Okay. Unique says, was Diddy recording the encounter? We covered that. He let Diddy know that he was not comfortable with recording. He did start out, but not anymore. Oh, Christine R says, does he wants to be married and have a family?
No, not right now. I don't see it, no.
But you have a family. You have how many kids?
I have 2 kids.
Okay. Sammy Musa said, I'm sorry. How did you vet him, Al? How did I vet Rico? Oh, you must be late to the show. Rico and I are friends, have been friends for quite some time, almost a decade. And, you know, I helped him when he was called FBI. I'm a buddy, you know, I helped him out when he was going through this because it was a very scary time. Okay, Colette Davis said, did he show any signs of jealousy while he interacted with Jane Doe?
I didn't see it, no.
All right, the Asandaro brother said, "Can you hook us up with your escort company, good brother?" You know who that is.
Yeah.
What was the name of that? What was the name of that agency?
Cowboys for Angels.
Cowboys for Angels. She testified. Cassie testified to Cowboys for Angels as well. Did you ever have an encounter with Cassie and Diddy?
No.
Okay. All right, let's keep it going. All right, let's bring our legal beagles on to the conversation. If Attorney Turner, Attorney Weiss, and Attorney Carter, if you don't mind joining us. Okay, perfect. So I want to go legal. You're my panel here. You've heard Rico's account. As attorneys, if you don't mind, I would like to dissect some of this. The first thing I want to ask, and I'll start with you, Attorney Carter, what's the potential legal liability for someone like Rico if these events, right, that he describes as consensual and nothing really happening, what legal liability would he have if these events were orchestrated under coercion or distress?
I can't see any here. It's not like, if, and I don't think you feel this way, Rico, but at most you are a victim. All right, you are, you just wasn't anything that you were part of as far as planning to, you didn't know, Jane Doe beforehand. It was just a matter of, you go to a job to dance and then you end up doing a little more than dancing or whatever. But the idea that you'd be part of this, remember, RICO conspiracy requires you to have agreement for you to say beforehand, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be trafficking this person together. That's not what we have here. So at the very least, and we talked about before about the Mann Act, about bringing people across state lines. Obviously, Rico, you were actually local here, right?
Yes.
You don't have to travel anywhere. So it really, I don't see any legal liability, at least on his end.
All right, Attorney Weiss, what are your thoughts?
Same thing, look, if he would, the question would have become if he witnessed something as a crime, if he witnessed something criminal, if he witnessed something that he had to report and didn't, that might be something that he could get in trouble for. But being invited to this as a guest, and it wasn't, look, they were smoking weed, right? Depending on where it is, that's a crime. That's not a crime. Most of the United States says that's not a crime. You're using baby oil, not a crime. So all of these things that were being done were not crime. So he didn't have to report it. He didn't have to stop it. He didn't have to do anything like that. So he was just a guest, and he. And this is the question I wanted to ask. Rico, did you feel like if you wanted to, you could leave at any time? Forget about, just, you weren't pressured that you had to stay. You could say, same for me, I'm out at any point in time.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you this, Attorney Turner. So that's on Rico's side, right? Because he's a hired third party coming into a room. But what about Jane Doe's side? Because in her testimony, she makes it quite clear that, she didn't want to do this stuff. There were times that she didn't want to do it and times that she wanted out. Does that have anything to do? I know that has to do with the criminal charges of sex trafficking, but does that have any way, because she didn't want to do it, but Rico participated, does that offer up any liability there at all?
So let's unpack this. So as it relates to Rico, because there's an aspect of his decision making that I don't think we touched on, and that is he had plausible deniability because he didn't know these people, right? So he had no baseline to compare whether she seemed to be coerced or whether she didn't seem to be coerced based on his observations. And so absent some appreciation on the part of him, he is insulated from any criminal liability because he did not have any indication that it was not consensual, and that's what he mentioned today. As it relates to Jane Doe, the claims get somewhat more complex because even though Rico may have believed that it was consensual, again, because he didn't know these people, there may have been other factors at play indicating that she wasn't doing it voluntarily. And this is one of the reasons why this case is so hard for the court of public opinion to accept, that there may have been coercion and that these women may have been doing it against their will. The reason is that it sounds like a party, right? It sounds like, oh, look at Brian Ross is here today. Hey, now.
Christine R said, I knew Freaky Brian but Brian's freaky butt was going to show up.
But yeah, so.
You're on mute, Brian Ross. We can't hear you. You're on mute, Brian.
I can hear you.
Okay, keep going, Sean.
I think his mic isn't working.
How's that better? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you are with that voice.
There
girl,
it is.
girl, stop it. You and Christine are best friends. You know you both want me. Just cut it out.
I could listen to you all night. I'm looking at Rico right now.
I told you before. I sound like Luther Vandross with a slight cold. Cut it out.
Okay, can we get back to the case? Go ahead. So let me ask you this. I want to ask Brian in particular. Thank you for joining us, Brian. For those who don't know, Brian is one of the original Legal Beagles. He's a criminal defense attorney. So these are the type of cases that he has a lot of experience in representing. So Rico Bozant, who's with us today, this is my question for you, Brian. I'm not sure, when he went into that room, he said he had to sign an NDA. That NDA had to say what he was there to do. What were you there to do according to that NDA, Rico? And from what I understand, that NDA was from who? From what company? What was the name at the top of that NDA?
Rico, before you answer that question, let me just say this. You might be the prettiest black man I've ever seen in my life. Get that out there. All right. No, I know the judge got you here to tell your story, but I'm like Charles Barkley looking at Tom Brady. The more you talk, the more artists fall into a gaze. Okay? Please continue.
Well, Attorney Ross, why are you limited to black men? I think he might be one of the most perfect specimens on the planet, regardless of race. But yes,
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Are we really doing this in my court?
Me and Jason Weiss have a partnership in Florida. We were looking for some marketing assistants. Jason, listen, just put the man on TV. We'll make $1 million a month. You understand?
Yeah.
Big deal. Like, count the money, okay?
He'd just be like, you going left or you going right?
I want to get back. Hello, everybody. I want to get back to my question. So you had an NDA. I want to know if the NDA says he's there to model or dance. Do you know who the NDA? What was the name at the top of your NDA?
Kendo, Kendo.
Okay, K. And that has nothing to do with P. Diddy, though. That has nothing to do with Bad Boy.
No.
So what would be the purpose of that NDA, Brian, is what I'm asking you. If his NDA said he was there, why is he signing it? And why is Jane Doe signing an NDA from another company that's not associated with any of them?
Well, it sounds like to me there's some sort of dummy or shell corporation set up, right? That's designed to lead to a bridge to nowhere, okay? But people are coming to Diddy's environment, wherever that may be, LA, New York, or whatever have you, and his lawyer told him, look, if you're going to do this, you needed some sort of protection. But the reality is that it really isn't that form of protection. It isn't really. So because you can't have an NDA when it comes to a criminal case. It won't work. So it sounds like they thought they were being smart, but really they really weren't. So the NDA that Rico has signed, for all clarification, one, we don't provide legal advice on this show, and two, I haven't read the NDA, so I know nothing about other than what I heard 7 seconds ago. But the NDA sounds like, to me, it's really not gonna be upheld because it's a criminal.
We're in a criminal case now. All right, Colette Davis
is different.
Colette Davis says, Attorney Carter, it's quiet tonight.
Well, just be clear. And Rico, but as far as the NDA, Rico, I think, actually got it right, which is that this wasn't a real thing. All right, this was just something to scare him, to make sure that he didn't go run to page 6 or whatever. But it wasn't ever going to be enforceable. That, there's no Kindle company to enforce it by. But you don't know that, so you're going to keep your mouth closed, and that's the reason for it. It's just a sham thing, and as Attorney Ross says, it certainly doesn't have any criminal effect. But on a civil liability case, you really can't. They couldn't even sue him if they wanted to. But like I said, he doesn't know that, and I'm sure he didn't want to have his business out there either. So it's just a protective thing you do to send out there to make sure that everybody says. Basically, it's like saying, "Hey, let's just keep this on the between us."
Okay, so let me ask you, why was it so
important?
important?
Should know that though, that sometimes attorneys or people present documents to you to sign for the purpose of communicating a message, even if it's not ultimately enforceable. And so that's what they did here. And it kept him quiet until he was identified as a witness in this criminal case, right, Rico?
Yeah. No, but when I did the grand jury, they told me it wasn't legit. But after I got identified, I was like, my friend told me my picture's gonna get released. So like,
right.
There's a
so let me ask
question
you
in
this.
the
Let me
chat,
ask you this real quick. Let me ask the lawyers this. Why was it so important hearing what we heard? Why was it so important for Rico to testify in front of the grand jury? Why would you call a witness where there doesn't appear to be anything there? I don't understand that.
Well, remember, for the grand jury, and see, the grand jury is always weird because the grand jury isn't like a criminal trial where you're presenting both sides. It's just the prosecution presenting anything that's favorable to them. So what they'll say is, hey, this corroborates the baby oil. This corroborates the fact that Diddy's directing stuff. This corroborates this. But they're not going to ask him the questions that you ask, like, how does she feel about it? Right? And all the things that might be good for the defense, the grand jury doesn't ask that. So they'll just go ahead and run that through. And you've heard the expression, it's easier to indict someone than it is you can indict a ham sandwich in America. I've never done that, but I've seen a ham and cheese get indicted for sure. So you got to use some provolone ham and cheese.
We also have to remember, Judge, that in a criminal indictment hearing, you're allowed all types of things. The rules of criminal procedure are relaxed. You have hearsay. I heard him say that this was going to happen. At trial, that's not going to come in. But in an indictment hearing, you're allowed to bring in all of these extraneous pieces of evidence that will never be admissible in a criminal hearing because the standard is lower. In a criminal hearing, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. In an indictment hearing, it's by a clear and convincing amount or preponderance of evidence, depending where you're at. So that is what you're up against. So it's very easy to bring in all these hearsay items, which lead to a charging document called an indictment or an information.
Got it. Okay, so
along the lines with criminal issues, because there's some things bantering about in the chat, and I feel a responsibility to clarify because some people
one person in the chat you don't need to clarify for, but the other ones you can clarify for.
Well, just the legal piece about the consent piece, because there's suggestion that we're victim shaming or not taking the allegations that are being litigated in the trial seriously, and that's not the case. The reason Rico's here, and the reason I think it's a fantastic conversation to have, not just because he's pretty to look at, is because what he's doing.
That boy pretty. He ain't prettier than me, but he pretty.
Now, why are you always objectifying a brother? That's what I want to do.
Go ahead. Can y'all
I want to hear what Attorney Turner has to say.
Turner, go. I want to hear what you got to say.
Boy, stop it.
We're here because we want him to share his observations about what occurred in the room. He's not the judge and the jury. He's somebody who was there, who participated in these events, and he's just sharing his observations. And so anybody who's suggesting that this conversation is about something else is mistaken. The other thing that was brought up in the chat, and this goes to the RICO charges, but I think it got buried, is they wanted to know how the S trafficking charge was being asserted against Jane Doe and Cassie when it wasn't clear that they had received any money. And so again, for the algoriters to understand, the argument is that all of the things that they got, there was money that was given to them, there were apartments that were paid for, there was compensation, and the reason they received the compensation was because they were expected to participate in these events. It remains a matter of argument, which is why the trial's still going on, but that's the charge. To Attorney Ross's point, they received in-kind compensation, but then some of them, they also received cash, and there were Birkin bags, and there were all of the things. And the argument is that they were not given.
Jane Doe said she received rent. She gave up a
Right,
specific
she got
number.
rent.
And she also said
wanted
that her lawyer fees are being paid right now. The lawyer that's representing her in court is being paid by him, which I thought was very interesting. So let me ask you both.
What the algoriters are confused about is that they expect there to be money at the event, at the freak off, which is given to them, and it doesn't have to work that way. That was the only point I wanted.
Okay, got it. Okay, now I get it. But let me ask all the lawyers if a person in power like Diddy is orchestrating sexual encounters with the focus on, let's just say that his fetish is on dominance, can that become a form of psychological abuse, even if the acts appear consensual on the surface?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, to get to that from a legal standpoint, you need an expert, right?
Oh, gotcha.
You can't get up there and say, I was psychologically abused. Algoriters, let's suppose you get into a car accident and you break your arm, right? And you go to trial on this issue. You can't say you broke your arm because you're not a medical professional. We have to hire a doctor or an x-ray tech or whoever to say, I look at the x-ray and his arm was broken. And then once they say that, you could say, here's the pain I had from my broken arm. Same thing with a psychological impact. You can't say, I was psychologically impacted unless you're a psychologist or a psychiatrist. You put an expert on the stand who's done a mental health evaluation. They render their opinion to the jury, and then they put you on to discuss how you couldn't sleep, you couldn't eat, you lost a job, et cetera, et cetera. So just to say a person had a psychological effect skips a step. And that's what, in my opinion, I mean, how many criminal jury trials have I had? The government has done a phenomenal job in Diddy's case of tying things together. I haven't heard enough to get him to, in my legal opinion, of what would be considered trafficking, prostitution. They've made him out to be a despicable human being. And that's what my colleague Sean Carter said several weeks ago they did a great job of. But I haven't quite heard enough to say he's guilty of trafficking.
All right, let's talk about that for a second. Let's go to you, Attorney Carter. King Kev says, can you guys explain the difference between regular old prostitution versus sex trafficking when it comes to Cassie and Jane Doe?
Okay.
Attorney Carter.
Here's the allegation, and Jane Doe made it clear just this week in testimony. She says, hey, you're right. People seem to think I liked it, right? People who were there, I made the calls. You got all these transcripts, but I didn't want to do any of this. I had to do it because Diddy was paying my rent. And because I thought that he was going to stop paying my rent, if I stopped doing it, I had to do it. And technically that is a form of coercion. But here's the weird thing is that there is a amount of coercion that happens in all relationships where you're required to do things to keep the relationship going. You don't know how many Saturdays I've sat in the mall carrying that damn purse. You think I want to do that shit? No, but I got to do that. I want to keep being married to this woman, right? There's all kinds of coercion that's part of a relationship. And there's a real fine line between saying, hey, you know what? I need a woman who can do this. If you're not that woman, I'm going to get another one. And her saying, whoa, you ain't going to get another one because then I'm going to have to pay my own rent. All right. And so, you know, it's hard to argue that's necessarily criminal coercion because you have a right as to be a freak and to say, hey, I want a freak with me. And if you can't be a freak, I want somebody else. And so, true. And so I think it's interesting because you're going to get the jury to agree that not only was it coercive, but Diddy knew it was. Diddy knew she didn't want to do it. Because a lot of times, you think I tell my wife I don't want to hold that purse? I'm sitting there just grinning like an idiot, right? Because right? And so the point is this, though, is that coercion is hard to know because you don't just you think I want to go apple picking. All right,
I'm about to cut you off, Attorney Carter, and I know it's your show. I gotta know, what is it exactly that makes you stand in the mall holding a purse? Tell
because
us.
I want to get some later. All right,
She's shopping at Victoria's Secret, not looking for slips. He's holding that purse all day long.
Exactly.
I didn't see it coming. So basically, you're saying you'll hold a purse in the mall.
Absolutely.
Let's get to some of these questions here.
Is on to something, though. Attorney Carter's on to something. I have to say this because this is deep in my heart as a feminist, and I don't often play this card, but I do think this entire conversation. Well, I do play it on here, but not on my other TV show. But I do think it highlights at the inequities of power with men and women generally, right? Because if you can't afford a place to live and someone's saying you have to do these freak offs and now I won't pay your rent, right? And then if it's a regular relationship and it's like, if you don't scrub my floors, if you don't do these sexual favors, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, then I won't put gas in your car. Like, it relates to the inequity of power between men and women in too many relationships, Attorney Ross. I know deep in your heart you're a feminist, despite who you vote for. And I just think that we need to elevate women, right? And so they
shouldn't be so easy to negotiate their worth.
Thank you very much, Judge.
You shouldn't be reducing yourself. You shouldn't be reducing yourself to a Birkin bag or to a private plane trip or to a $10,000 rent or to gas in your car.
Come on.
There has to be accountability on both sides, Attorney Turner.
But your penis privilege doesn't allow you to appreciate what it's like to be a woman in America. That's all I'm saying.
And I've always said maybe women don't. I've always said that I don't think you women understand the power of the you know what.
Wait a second. Can I jump in? I'm not allowed to jump in, Jason. I'll be quiet. If I can jump in right now, I would really appreciate the chance to say something.
Well, you've been jumping in all night. Jump in.
I am an active attorney who supports victims. When you read the things that happened to Cassie, you want to throw up in your mouth. You legitimately have to be a horrendous, weird dictator to not empathize with what she went through at the age of 19.
Okay, we got that.
However, for the non-Cassies, right? Y'all showing up for Birkin bags. Y'all showing up for G-Wagons. You're showing up for boat rides in Miami. You're showing up for this life. You could walk away. You could go to college and become a nurse at a local school in Iowa. You ain't about that life. Y'all want to make it rain. So for all of these little mamas who watching this show, we empathize with the victims. Don't mistake it. But it's a lot of these people who are like trout or bass in a pond who could avoid that worm on that hook, but gotta have it. So
I agree.
I feel bad for you? Yeah, I do feel bad for you.
But to go further,
I don't know who you are, so I want to distinguish myself from these women that you seem to be talking about. I've never seen myself out for a Birkin bag. You know,
wait, Attorney Turner.
Yes,
let me ask you something.
Yes.
Are you a hit dog? Why are you squealing? He didn't say you.
He did.
Hey,
He
yeah,
said
no.
you. He said you. He
I
said
didn't
you.
say
I
you.
was just
I did
No,
it.
no, no,
positioning
no.
Sorry.
myself.
He said that there are some that exist out there that
It's
sign
not
up for
Chicago
this
Corner.
stuff. He didn't say you.
I wish I
Not
could
you at all.
rewind. He kept saying you, but I know he wasn't talking about me. I just was distinguishing myself from the other women he was talking about. But I just think we would be remiss if we didn't articulate that this is a very gender specific issue. It doesn't happen to men to the same degree. And someone said in there, like, women need to claim their power, women need to do this, women need to do that. We have International Women's Day, which highlights that women make far less than men on the dollar. I think it takes, and if you're a Black woman, I think it takes until August for you to make
What did attorney Redwine call it? Bad pussy management. That's what attorney Redwine said. Attorney Redwine said, when you out here doing it for a bag, you out here doing it for your rent paid and all that stuff. She said you got bad pussy management. That's what she said, right, Attorney Carter?
Well, I don't know how you get 2 almost billionaires and can't pay your rent. My wife pay her rent with 1,000 there. All right, how you get 2 almost billionaires and you can't pay your rent? That's bad. That's bad all management.
Yeah,
She did
right.
have 2 though.
Overall.
And
okay.
I'm from a small city
doing
in
it for
Ohio,
ourselves.
and you move to Florida, and you look around, and you're like, wow, like what is so important about the life that you gotta have, right? Like, why are you? I got invited to Diddy's house. Truth of the matter is, I fell asleep. I didn't make it, but my boys took my car and they went. And they told me when they walked in, they said, if you go in the house, you play by the house rules.
All
They
right.
stayed out by the pool. I didn't make it that night. Okay? I didn't make it that night. The good Lord put me in a deep sleep. Okay? But I'm just saying, it's not that important. That's all I'm saying, Judge.
All right. I get it. Last question for Rico. Rico, what were you paid and how were you paid? Were you paid? Does the agency pay you? Who pays you?
Whoever books.
Okay, got it. All right. Well, this is my question to the algoriters. What does this moment that you just heard tonight, as it relates to the Diddy trial, what does this moment say about power, pleasure, and protection? Can adult entertainment exist without exploitation when fame and money are involved? That's what I want to know. Because if he's just living out his fantasies, no one's being coerced, then what is this really? And what happens when men, especially Black men, step forward with sexual trauma? Drop down in the chat and let me know what your thoughts are around that. Let me see if we have any more questions. Can someone get these negative? I know, Roxy Bella 280. Can someone get these negative people out the chat who hate watching my favorite show? Don't worry about it, Roxy. They knew it. You never know who is also in your chat. You could tell that a lot of people in this chat don't watch our show, don't know our intents, and just trying to make something educational very ugly. And that's never our intent here on this platform. So I would say just don't worry about them, Roxy Bella. All right, everybody. Tonight, you heard from the man behind the mystery, Rico Bozat. Didn't just speak, he actually stood up. We're not here to convict, or to acquit. We're here to confront. This trial isn't just about Sean Combs. It's about the systems that keep silence sacred and trauma taboo. It's about who gets believed and when. To our viewers, what do you believe? Was Rico a willing participant or a pawn in a much darker game? Comment now or below, share your thoughts and share your truths. Because in the Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, you're the jury and you do have the last say. Everyone, thank you for joining us tonight for Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Be sure to hit that like button. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to invite some friends over to watch the show. Don't forget to turn on your notifications for all our other special exclusives that we have coming up. And as always, jump down in the comments and share your thoughts with us. Court is now adjourned.